Okay, guys, good afternoon. We are looking at a lawless time, some new cards. I want to make some jokes with some of them and just have fun with you guys. But this is all spoilers for the lawless time. Some of the most recent ones that came out. I'm going to mostly be making comments to how they would interact with the game, how it's all going to go. This is some really these group of previews I have done has been kind of a new territory for me because this is where I'm really trying to make my content start to stand out. This is where I'm really trying to get going. So a lot of what I'm posting is the first time as a content creator. But yeah, we're trying to do previews. If you like what I do, give me a thumbs up, a like, subscribe, share, whatever. I know there's other content creators doing the same thing, but I'm going to give you kind of a spin of how I look at things, and that's neither here nor there. Now, let's get into it because there's a lot to cover. So the first one is the Master Code Breaker. High stakes. A 2 for a cunning 2 unit, ground unit. And the first gambit card you play each round costs 1 less, and when played, search the top 8 cards of your deck for a gambit card, reveal it, and draw it. So you're playing a lot of this is basically a gambit style deck. He's a 1/4. That's not a bad 2-drop stat line, especially with a 4 defense. That's really good for a 2-drop. He's a supporting card, so he's not going to have a lot of power. Obviously he wasn't actually the Master Code Breaker, but they thought he was, which is why they was going to him. Lady Proxima, Where's the Money? Love the title. Not much to her. She's a 1/5 for 3. I think she would have been better off being a 2/4, but I get why they did it. She's more of a support action versus anything else, and again, she is support. If anything else, I wouldn't put her at 2 instead of 3, but that's just me. But the action to create a credit token. That's it. So it's kind of like Poggle was a really... Not Poggle. Anyway, the 2-drop, I have to go back and look at it, but the 2-drop where basically you tap it, it makes a droid token. She's kind of the same thing. She's a 1/5 tap, creates a credit token. I'm not 100% sure what the credit tokens are for still. I know there's a lot. It's currency basically, but we'll see what happens. The Max Rebo Band, I'm mainly bringing this up there. It's a 3-drop, green and yellow for a 1/5. When the regroup phase starts, create a credit token. So this doesn't have to do anything. It automatically gives you the credit token. The reason why I bring this up is because the Max Rebo brand is just from Return of the Jedi, and it's nostalgic, so that's more than anything else. That's why I was bringing this one up, because other than the nostalgia and the color duo, other than that, this card really, I don't know, isn't that big to me until I really know how the credit tokens are going to actually function, and how decks are built. Until that point where I actually see it in action, I just don't know how good this card's going to actually be. I do like the fact you don't have to tap it. You can attack with it like normal. And just on the regroup, you get the credit token. There's no action that needs to be done for you to have the credit token. So that's kind of cool. Usually cards have an action for it, so that's just a nice thing. But I brought it up because of more nostalgia than anything else. Latch Ratzi, I'm not sure I pronounced that right, but Lettuce Ratzi, Deadly Whipmaster. She's a 2/1 for a 3-drop, blue and green. Again, I'm not thrilled on the stats. Really weak. But give a shield token or an experience token to this unit, then she deals damage to her power to an enemy ground unit. That's not bad. That's a really good, typical blue, destroy something as she comes into play. You put a shield on her. She's a 2/1, so it's not powerful. But she has to be hit twice if you just don't straight up defeat her. Give her experience token. She's a 3/2. It'll make her hit more things when she deals the damage as she comes into play. there's a lot of Blue loves control, and she's a really good. You know, you're kind of wondering how the controls can come into play. Well, she's a really good control piece. I like what she does. I like how she works. So yeah, let's get rid of these pages real quick so I know I talked about them. We're going to Admiral Mahdi. He's a good turn 5 flip for your leader. Friendly leader units get +2/+2. I can see him being a lot more effective in like a Twin Suns deck where you have 2 leaders. But this ain't bad. 4/5 and giving your friendly leader unit a +2/+2, that makes him stronger. I'm not sure I'm sold on him. But yeah, green and black, nice card. 4/5 for the stat line. It's a little bit weaker than I would like. 3-drop Falcon, green, yellow, heroic. You may give a space unit -2/0 for this phase, and you may give a ground unit +2/0 for this phase. A lot of utility with this card. It's a 2/5. Now, I'm thinking giving itself a -2/-0 and giving an enemy trooper +2/+0. No, I'm kidding. But no, this has good value. It makes something hitting your base or hitting one of your units a lot cheaper. Put on something when you have a Sentinel out will make it so the Sentinel is going to have an easier time dealing with it. And with the you can, if you have a ground unit that's a Sentinel, you give the unit, well, you give the Sentinel +2/+0, it's probably going to have a higher chance of trying to kill something, even if it might die itself. But no, good utility. I like the card. 2/5 for the Falcon. Yeah. I just think I love the Falcon. It's probably my favorite ship, but I'm thinking they're starting to make way too many of those, but that's just my opinion. They're coming back and bringing back too many of the same characters. I'd like, but no, the artwork is fantastic on that too. I love the Falcon. Let's hit on some bases. Play a card from your hand ignoring one of its blue, green, red, or yellow aspect penalties. It's just a one-time play, but you only need to have one card that could, you might be playing all these other decks, and then you have a blue fader, and you're playing everything but blue. That one fader, comes into play. Somehow you give it ambush, and I'm just throwing out a situation. But this will make it so that way. Excuse me, I am sorry. But that way you make it so fader kills 2 things in one shot. That's a possibility. Again, throwing it kind of off the top of my head. The blue fader that gives a shield on each character, and then on attack destroys something with a shield. You give it to one of the strongest things out there, like a Luke. And again, I'm going off the top of my head. Pre-rotation is what my thinking is, but it's the blue base, the red base, the green base, all do the same thing, and I think there's another yellow one I'll get to in a second. I'm saying there's another one. I'm going through real quick. I think may have already seen it though. Sababa. Yeah, I think we've already seen it. But anyway, we have all these different bases. Let's go ahead and hit this one next. But all 4 colors have that one less epic action. This 26 base is epic action 1. Return a friendly resource to its owner's hand. If you do, resource the top card of your deck. So basically you're smuggling your own card, but instead of playing it, it's going back to your hand. If it was not an epic action, I think I could be a lot more sold on it. But just being an action like this, I think this should have come in set 2 or 3 for Lando. But I think this would have made Lando a lot better. But the first Lando leader just did not do it for me at all. That's just what it is. Always gotta love a Star Destroyer. The Intimidator, another Star Destroyer. Love it. 11 for 11, and when played, return a number of friendly resources to their owner's hands. For each resource returned this way, create a credit token. So return any number of friendly resources. So you can pretty much empty out your whole resource pile and make it all into cards, and then you get credit tokens for each one. However, I firmly believe if with the meta that it was, and even with the meta we're going into, if you are playing 11 sources, you need a game finisher. This one, 11 power is definitely a strong hit, but I'm not, and that's the idea is to play them. But again, not knowing 100% what the tokens do, and I'm not really doing the research. I have way too many things going on for me to really look into it that much right now. Maybe later. Maybe I'll do a video on it after I research that. But right now, just looking at it, just getting credit tokens for 11 drop, I'm guessing the game's going to be almost over. Maybe the credit tokens are going to be doing a lot more. Again, I have to look at it. But 11-11 for an 11 drop, that gives you credit tokens. I don't know if I see that being a finisher. Awesome artwork. Typical Star Destroyer around the ring and Rogue One. I love it. Love it. Every time I see the Star Destroyer on a card, it just makes my day. But 9 times out of 10, those Star Destroyers come in too late in the game to really make that much of an impact. There's a few exceptions. Devastator and Avenger are the two big, and Chimera had some play too at the beginning, but those are probably the two cards that I saw being the most effective. And I'm talking about both Devastators, not just one of them. But those are the main two. Annihilator a little bit. But, outside of those, nobody really plays Star Destroyers. They're great looking. They have great effects. This is not a game finisher. Unless the credit tokens can somehow finish the game that turn, which I don't see happening. I just don't see this being a late game play that's going to win you a game. Now, if you're playing Admiral Piet, the leader, where he makes your ships one less, it'd be a 10 drop, but you're playing Star Destroyers, you're playing finishers. I just don't see this being in a standard deck. Now, maybe if you need that last spot, maybe, but it's 11 resources to play a card that can be removed by almost anything. Just, if you're that late in the game, you better have control or something that can just take over the game. And this is a card that can do a massive damage. But at this point, with 11 resources, 99% of the time, the game's over by 11. Unless you're playing a really, really hard control. In which case, your most control decks that we have, and maybe this is going to change with the set, is usually red, blue, not green. So I just don't see this being a finisher in any deck. And that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. Leave in the comments if you see better play for it. If you understand the credit tokens better than I do, leave it in the comments. I would love to see the comments on it. Let's get into some leaders. Let's see if I can get a couple other non-leaders first. Infees. Persecutor, that I've already done a video on this, but again, it's not really a finisher. But it's a 9 that can be played for 8 if you're playing a green deck. That's a typical Star Destroyer spot. 9/7 is really good. The Devastator was 9/6. I'm not sure if this is as good as the Devastator. Even the 8 drop from time. I am brain dead. The one where you can pilot that set. I just can't talk. But that Devastator was a 9/6 and did 4 damage, undefendable damage. And this one is when played and on attack, choose an arena, you may deal 3 damage to each unit in that arena. That's pretty strong. I love that effect. That is not necessarily going to be a game winner, but that's going to end a game really. That's going to clear a board really fast. You bring him and play him in the sky. Everybody has stuff on the ground. You just start swinging at the ground, swinging at the ground, swinging at the ground. There it is right there. I love how it is. I've already covered this once, but that is a big, to me, that's just a big difference between that and the other one, the Intimidator. Let's hit, there's not a lot of resources I hit, but I think in green decks, we're missing the resources. I love the fact you get 2 resources out of this. Resource this event in the top card of your deck. there is resourcing, but it's not near as fast as what it was. But you do get 2 resources with this, which is why I think it's 6 instead of 3, because that's usually a 3 drop thing, and you're doubling that. But again, I don't know. Maybe with this set, it's going to be needed. But until we actually cover the set, I don't know. I think there's going to be ways to play around this very easily. If you're going for turbo and playing super huge stuff, if you can do nothing but resource, then the Intimidator is going to make a huge difference. Play Intimidator on turn 5, 6, 7, 8. That's going to be a lot more impact than on turn 11, 10, 10. So I can see this being a difference maker in those decks that go long, and I don't see it being as aggro of a rotation. But, you know, there's a lot of questions in the air. And I brought this up because of the Intimidator being an 11 drop and then this one being a 6 drop. I don't know. It'd be interesting. I don't see it, but it'd be interesting. Putting all your resources on one ship, basically, I don't know. Maybe there's going to be more there. I got to see the rotation after it's done off the top of my head. But yeah, I'm not sold on this one yet. Here's an upgrade. Shadow of Sturgeon Prime. Attached to a non-leader unit. Attached unit can't ready. It gains when this regroup phase starts. Deal 2 damage to your base. Again, red, yellow, black. There's the red right there. Typical control piece. Can't ready it. That's just really strong. And you deal 2 damage to your base, so it's almost having a punishment for your card being in play. Wonderful card. I like the control aspect of it. And we got leader. Mandalorian. 6/5 for a 6 drop, red and blue. When played, draw a card, and when you draw 1 or more cards during the action phase, give a shield token to this unit. So he's all about shields. He always has been, and I think he's going to keep going with that. I mean, it's a great card. And 6/5 for a 6 drop, it's a little weak on the defensive side, but it's a high-powered shot there. Very nice. You have the Tana 4. I've been waiting for this card. I love the effect. It's a 7 drop for a blue heroic, but I love the fact it has Restore 2 for a 5/8, so a lot of defense. And when played, if a friendly unit was defeated this phase, heal 4 damage from your base. Blue is really strong at healing, and now we're adding another piece for healing. And especially if a unit dies and then you use this ship, that's 6 damage in 1 shot. Obviously, you have to attack on the next turn, but still, that's a lot of healing. I brought this one again for nostalgia. 4 drop for 1/7. I like recursion decks. I like putting recursion in my decks where something's discarded and already used, or discarded or killed. I can turn around and put it back in my library. This is a 1/7 that when on attack, you hit for 1, so it's weak. It's a 4 drop. I think they could have done the stats a little differently. I mean, it's a huge ship, but it's not aggressive, so I kind of get it. But on attack, you may put a card from your discard pile on the bottom of your deck. If you do, create a credit token. That does a lot of things. Credit tokens are going to be very easy to come across. Anakin Skywalker. Now this is pod racing. I just want to say that. When a friendly unit's attack ends, if no other units have attacked this phase, you may return it to its owner's hand. If you do, heal 2 damage from your base. Turn 1, turn 2, when you only have 1 or 2 cards that can attack, yes, I can see this being good. Late game, it's a 2/4. That's it. So basically, you're going to play this, get 2 life. Then you attack with this first, get 2 life, heal your base from 2, and return this to your hand. Doesn't mean you cannot attack. But having a card, you gain 2 life, it's Restore 2, basically, but you got to return to your hand. I'm not sold that that's going to be an effective strategy. Again, there's just so many factors I got to see, especially if you're getting to that late game where you can lose on that turn and you're not making headway. I mean, you're going to want a way to deal with, have answers versus just let me heal my base for 2 and probably be dead on this turn regardless of what I do. Leader. Anakin's Pod Racer. It's a ground. While attacking, if no other units have attacked this phase, this unit deals combat damage before the defending unit. That's always handy. And it's an ambush. So early game, go Anakin, then go this. That is powerful. That is very, very powerful. And then we have this ship. I'm not recognizing what ship it's from. I want to say a B-Wing, but it doesn't look like a B-Wing. But anyway, this is a 6-drop for a 3/7. It's not a very strong ship, but on attack, deal 2 damage to an enemy ground unit and 2 damage to a base. This could finish off some things. I like this card. It's not strong by itself. I mean, but it's not bad. The stats are reasonable. I think I'd prefer a 4/6 versus a 3/7, kind of like the red drop from the first set, but that's a 6-drop in the air. That's a 4/6 and does 2 damage to a unit and base. This is a 3/7. This does the same thing, but it's a 3/7 for heroic versus villainy. Again, brain fart. I just can't think. Not enough sleep. But no, I think that's great. I like the ship. I like the idea. You're doing the same thing as what that ship did. Except that this is on attack, not on play and attack. That ship was on attack and on, when defeated. This one is on attack. Or when played and on defeated, this one's on attack. So if this thing comes into play and you kill it right off the bat, you have no effect from it. So I think this is not as good. Raider. Oh, that's going to kill me because I like that ship. I use it all the time. But I'm just having a brain fart. So, yeah, I'm not sold on this. Okay? Plain simple. I'm not sold. So, anyway, that's what I got for regular units. I got one more thing I'm going to hit with that. I want to move this to over here. I'm going to start on leaders now from this set. There's a lot of leaders. I thought the leaders in the last set was pretty lacking. I think Daedra was... It could be a decent leader. I think Palpatine could be good. But other than those two, the whole set in a whole, the Secrets of Power, I thought was a pretty weak set for me, leader-wise. I think some of them's going to come in more into play. I've seen some of them come into, actually in play. So I think it's going to change my opinion on how strong the set was leader-wise. But I think sets 1 and 2 had such good leaders that a lot of the leaders that are being used are still from those sets, with an exception of a few here and there. I mean, most of the leaders are still from those sets. I mean, Kira, Han 2, Han 1, Sabine is still, I still see played. Bosk was good. He's really gone downhill, but I mean, he still is really strong. Gar Saxon has a pretty good thing. I mean, those are all 1-2 set drops with an exception of 1 or 2. Luke was always medium, the second Luke from set 4. And Quinlan Voss was good. Obviously, Jango and Boba Fett both were banned because they were super stupidly strong. But, I can see with the rotation, Talzin's going to be strong. Piet, I think, is going to be a lot stronger, way stronger. He's already got a decent deck. Palpatine's going to be strong. There's already builds around him. I think it's just going to be really diverse. But yeah, all these leaders, some of these guys I think are going to be really awesome. The client, I think, is going to be one of those sleepers. Is he going to be great? I don't think so, but is he going to be good? Absolutely. If you create a token this phase, exhaust an enemy unit. Yellow Cunning is always set on the idea of tapping the opponent's stuff while you're getting your hits in. And he does just that. If you create a token this phase, exhaust an enemy unit. It could be playing something. It could be whatever. It could be a shield token, I'm assuming. It could be, if I'm understanding this correct, this could be a shield token. It could be some kind of upgrade that's a token. Making a spy. A credit token. I mean, there's an unlimitless amount of things you could do now to make tokens. But then you can turn around and take him and tap him and knock out their biggest unit every turn whenever you do that. Maybe they'll get that in first, so you go for the next biggest. But either way, you're going for one of their biggest threats and tapping it down. On the reverse side, it's pretty much the same thing. He is shielded a 4/4. He's not big, so he's going to be easy to deal with. But on attack, if you create a token in his face, is also an enemy unit. He's shielded, so yeah, you can do a lot with that. I'm not sold on him, but I think if you're doing credit tokens, this will be an easy way to do it. Director Krennic, defeat a friendly unit, create a credit token. There's units that's out there you don't really care for. Maybe you're going to make tokens. We can do that. When deployed, another friendly unit deals damage equal to its power to an enemy unit. So we'll show that. That's what he does on when he's deployed. He's a 4/9. He's a 7-drop, but he's a very, very beefy dude. Not a lot. He's not extremely high powered, but his toughness is huge. A 9-drop. We've seen decks really go off with that. Sabalba. This is an interesting one. It looks like we have some pod racing in this. Sabalba's a mean dude. Cheats his way to wins. Wow. 4-drop. Same stats as Sabine. Action. Discard a card from your deck. A friendly unit gains raid 1 for this phase. Okay. It's not bad. On the flip side, on attack, discard a card from your deck. Raid 1. It's basically another Sabine. The only difference is, instead of being a 2/5 where you can target anything, you're giving him raid 1 instead. So Sabine gave you a little bit of flexibility to make sure that no matter what you do, you're always hitting the base. He's going to make it so you're hitting for 3 instead of 2. A good replacement for Sabine. I think we have to wait until the set comes out, but yeah, I think so. I think Daedra has a better ceiling than this guy because you're not top decking. This guy's going to make you top deck some. So I don't know. I think Daedra's going to be a lot stronger than this guy. I've already seen some Daedra builds I'm not fond of, but I think once the set rotates, I think Daedra's going to be really good. And Talzin's losing a lot of steam when the rotation hits too, so we got to keep that in mind. Han Solo, another Han. Action, defeat a friendly token, deal 1 damage to a unit. You can build decks that are just token happy, so that's no big deal. Be creating credit tokens. This is where credit tokens really are going to come into play. Stuff like this. Defeat a friendly token unit, deal 1 damage to a unit. On the flip side, he's Saboteur, 4/5 for a 5-drop. So he's already got the Daedra stat line without having to do anything, which I actually like that. It's a 4/5. That's a super strong for a 5-drop leader. Defeat a friendly Saboteur, and on attack defeat a number of friendly tokens, deal damage to a unit equal to the number of tokens defeated this way. If you're making credit tokens, this is where some credit tokens are really going to come into play. Defeat, you're making credit tokens, everybody's like, uh-oh, this is going to be bad. You flip him, you attack with him, go after something small. They have a big unit out there. Boom, all those credit tokens, bam, done. That unit is out of the way. So yeah, this guy I think is going to be secretly really good. I think he's going to be better than Daedra. I think he's going to be better than Sabalba. This guy, again, I think Han's going to be stupidly good. I got a really good feeling about Han. And almost finally, Emphy's Nest. Somebody said that she's a killer leader. 5 drop 3/7. It's good, really, really good stat line. When you use an on attack ability, you may pay 2 and exhaust this later. If you do, use that ability again. I think I need to wait and see what on attacks are out there and how to build around this. But that is very, very good. That is very, 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 very good. And then you flip her. When you use an on attack ability, you may use that ability again. Use this ability only once each round. If you can kill something of theirs that is big, boom, there it is right there. Kill 2 things. Again, I'm brain dead. And not only that, do you have a 3/7 on a 5 body? That's typical 5 drop stats. But then you also have the Enfys Nest Gnome. Enfys Nest Helmet. A 2 drop red heroic. Enfys Nest is heroic. But red and heroic, and attached to a non-vehicle unit. Attached unit gains on attack. You may give another friendly unit, +3/+0 for this phase. It's 0/2, so it's not going to really do a lot. But yeah, you throw this on another ground unit and make Enfys Nest attack for a 6/7. That makes that amazing. Or you make her a 3/9. Both of those are pretty awesome. But that's what I have for you for previews. That's the ones I thought really interested me out of all those. There's Urk, there's Volt Scares' Defender, Stockpile Recovered, Combat Exercise, Exhaust Friendly, if you do, give 2 experience tokens to you. No big deal to me. I mean, there's going to be uses for these cards. Look at the top card of your deck. You may play it. It costs 1 less. If you don't, you may discard it. Create a credit token. Interrogation Droid, Shadow Stygian Prime, BT1000, Convey Security Captain. I mean, those are all good. But I thought I'd get on some of the ones I really wanted, or some of the ones that I thought were going to be impactful. Wetzel, I think Weasel's going to be another good one. Another friendly unit gains raid 2 for this attack. But, you know, there's just a lot of things that is going to be fun. On attack, deal 2 damage to a base. That's where Enfys Nest could really come into play right there. That'd be 4 damage just from both attacking. So you could, theoretically, with Enfys Nest, pay attack, deal 2 damage to a base, use Enfys Nest to pay 2, do another 2 damage, flip her, attack with something else, and then turn around and use that ability on something again. Maybe on this one. Let's say we have these 2 things out, and then we flip her. We use her leader side with that. We use this flip side with this one. I mean, that's a pretty big whammy right there to cover on her flip side. I'm just throwing something out there. But yeah, there's a lot of things that is, when played, you may defeat a credit token if you do give another experience token to this unit and another friendly unit. Anakin's Pod Racer. I mean, there's just a lot of things that are out there I think is going to be good from the set. I'm liking this set. I think this set's going to be a set 1 tone set for Star Wars Unlimited, and I think it's gonna. We have rotation coming in. I think the rotation's not going to be hurting at this point. But anyway, guys, that's my thoughts. That's my video for this new set, the preview. Give me comments, give me a share, give me a like and a share, and just see where we're at. And we will catch you on the next one.